Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, wherever you are. I'm Ariel,
I'm Shia.
and sometimes we simul-speak as well as finish each other's sentences.
So that's just the way it goes in this family.
You ready for the theme for today?
Yes, I am.
Ageless.
Ageless.
When you're really engaged in what you're up to, you're ageless. We'll play around with this idea today, this experience. In fact, you may have this experience today. When you're really listening, you don't have attention on yourself or the story of your life or the enculturation you have about what it means to be 6, 12, 43, 80, 100.
Yeah,
I just kind of skipped around in there.
I noticed that.
Yeah.
Cool.
Excellent. Let's talk about listening.
Okay. Listening. Why should I? Okay. No. Listening is something that is very rarely, if ever, seen amongst people. Usually they think about what the other person has said to see whether they agree or disagree with it or already know the information. Usually we question whether what's being said is accurate or not, or whether or not we would say it that way. That's not listening. That's thinking about and questioning. True listening involves allowing what someone says to come into you without filtering it through what you already know.
It's a real challenge for a lot of you.
In Zen, it's something called beginner's mind, where you operate as though you don't already know and are discovering what's being said for the first time. You could do that and it wouldn't hurt.
Now, I know a lot of you listeners have heard hundreds of our shows, and we talk in every podcast about listening. So it's so simple to rush ahead in your mind, finish my sentences. If you're doing that, good. If you see that without judging yourself for it, it will disappear. If you're not doing that, good. Either way is perfect. One is not better, the other worse. One's not good, the other bad. That's change when we're working on ourselves to be a better us. Today's an opportunity for just being here and seeing where the conversation leads us.
Yes.
How about
we take our first guest?
Yes, let's do it.
I think that's a brilliant idea.
Hi, Uli. Where are you zooming in from?
Hi, guys. Hi, Ariel. Hi, Shaya. I'm zooming in from close to Cologne, a little bit outside of Cologne in Germany.
Welcome to being here.
Thank you. It's nice to see the two of you.
Nice to see you as well.
I have noticed something around the topic of age, and that is that when I'm, as you were saying, when I'm busy, when I'm engaged in something, I usually don't give my age a lot of thought. But I've noticed that when someone addresses age, this is what I resist. Like, oh, that's because you're not 20 anymore. Or when people start speaking about them wanting to retire soon, as if that was somehow contagious or a threat to me. At least I'm not just listening when people speak that way. And I was wondering, well, what that means or what that says about me.
What it probably means is you probably are the fact that your body is aging.
Mm-hmm.
Now, yesterday I had a thought about my own ending, and I realized that there's a shelf life that was stamped on me, like use before a certain date.
Yes.
Well, I have a date stamped on me. I don't know when it is.
It's probably on his backside. He can't read it.
I can't read it, but I'm sure that there is a termination point. But that doesn't preclude me from living to my fullest in this moment, that doesn't stop me from enjoying whatever I'm doing rather than blame it on my age. You know, that's when you age, when you say, oh, I'm tired because of my age. No, I'm tired because I took a bicycle ride. I'm tired because I am tired, rather than it's age related. And yes, you're not the same as you were in your 20s. Thank God for that.
Yeah, that's what I usually say, because I don't want to be. I mean, I was so much less happy when I was 20 than I'm now.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about when I said thank God for that. But even not comparing, yes, you had more energy in your 20s, but too, you were upset more than you are these days. So getting older could be like fine wine, just aging, rather than it's boiled vinegar.
Yeah, that sounds very good. I sometimes also think that people assign something to age that isn't age related. For instance, like when I forget something and someone tells me, oh, that's because you're getting old.
Right.
But then I say, but I have so many more things to think of, to not forget, than when I was 20. Like my life is so much richer, and there are so many more things in my life.
But here's the problem that I hear.
Mhm.
You're resisting what other people say as it relates to you. So you're not just hearing what they say, you're disagreeing with their perspective, and that's not listening. See, that's resisting what they're saying. And people are going to say whatever they say. It doesn't really matter if you don't hold it as relevant.
Mm.
You know, I was thinking, you know, in this country, there was a nursery rhyme, Mary had a little lamb. Do you know that one?
I've heard it, yes. I don't know how it continues, but
It continues, its fleece were white as snow,
Mhm.
and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go. Now, this phrase or this nursery rhyme is no more important than people saying, oh, you forgot that because you're a certain age.
Mm.
But I find it interesting that people say that to you. It's almost as if what you're resisting, you're producing. Let's talk about the 3 principles of instantaneous transformation, because I cannot recall a time somebody said, oh, you forgot that because you're getting old. There may be people around me say, oh, I have a senior moment. I can't recall somebody's name, but nobody's ever assigned age to me as a reason for how I'm being. So, but the first principle is anything you resist persists.
Anything you don't want, don't like, wish were different, persists, grows stronger, and dominates your life.
You know, when I want to talk about that in a moment, because I'm looking at you. I know that our listeners are hearing you, but since we're doing it via Zoom, we have the luxury of getting to look at you
and see you
and
in real time.
I don't know how old your daughter is now. How old is she?
15.
15. And your son?
Almost 13.
Yeah. When I was 13 and 15, I could do cartwheels. I did cartwheels a lot. I did a lot of, tumbling. I could not do a cartwheel now. My body would not sustain it. I actually tried one not too long ago because my friend Amy still does them, and it's so much fun to watch her. I thought I would try one too, and it was really ill-advised.
Mm.
So the truth is, my body has changed. And I have a feeling that you're trying to not age. And in trying to not age, you become an age. Because what you don't want, don't like, define yourself as,
what you
owns
resist,
you.
then you become what you resist.
That sounds very true.
And I know we have second, third principle, and I want to go back to how you introduced yourself. You said, when I'm really busy, I hardly think about my age, or I largely don't think about my age, or mainly don't think about my age. I don't know exactly the words you used, but I was like, wow, how does age come into it at all when you're really engaged and busy?
That's true.
Somewhere
Yeah.
in there is that definition of you. Second principle.
And you got to be holding aging as a negative thing,
Yes,
not a positive. It's
that's
not
true.
that wisdom resides in age.
Yeah, my mind continued, but also disease. That's what my mind was saying.
Well, there's disease for people who are young too, you know. COVID has taken many young people recently.
Mm.
Yeah,
that
and
sounds
yet
true.
you've been pre-programmed, and it's paradoxical. You know, paradox is where two seemingly opposing statements are both true, like water, water everywhere, not a drop to drink.
In the middle of the ocean, you
That's
can't drink the water, and it's everywhere.
and in a certain, you know, as people age, they are more prone to disease. However, we've been programmed to look for disease or assign it to age rather than I caught a cold or I have an ache in my knee. It's not I have an ache in my knee, it's I'm getting old.
Old. Yeah.
Yeah.
And old in your reality is bad.
Yep.
Not good.
That's
not
right.
not something to look forward to.
I mean, that's why they, at least, I don't know about in Germany, but here they're like, a lady never tells her age.
Yes.
Because after a certain age, your shelf life or use by date is over, whether you live a bunch of years or not.
Sorry, something just came into my mind. My daughter recently said, because we are renovating our house, and my daughter said, do you really think that's still worth the effort? Like, are you not going to move out to retirement home, to nursing home anytime soon? And we were like, not yet, not quite yet.
But you see, here's the thing. I will be willing to bet she's overheard you and Christian, your husband, talking about aging in a negative way. And
even if she hasn't overheard you talking about it, she's absorbed your reality.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm flashing. I remember once I was watching someone feed their infant baby food, and it was a mushed up version of, you know, vegetable beef soup. And although they served it cold, you know, it was kind of had a gravy. Every time that person got to a piece of meat, they were like, oh, here's the meat. And I thought that was very interesting in that, in their attempt to make sure their infant ate, they were pre-programming that the meat was the important part of the meal. It may be, it may not be, but we've inculturated our children and the people around us with our reality that we might not necessarily be aware that we have.
Well, when Ariel first moved to New York City, she moved into a residence hall that was for young women and men over 50, as if when you reach the age of 50,
you were decrepit and had no more interest
and no sexual interest going at all. So they were safe. Men under 50, well, they didn't allow them.
They didn't allow them in the front door, actually.
But men over 50, they could get in. I'm 80. Ariel and I have regular, not irregular, but regular sexual interludes.
It would not be a good idea to park him in the home of young, you know,
it might be good for him. Might not be a bad idea, but no, I'm still married.
Yeah, you are, but yeah, it's very funny.
Yes.
But it's like, you're taken by her statement, but she got that idea somewhere. It didn't just come out of the ether.
And she doesn't feed you what you like to hear. She feeds you what you don't like to hear.
That's right. And I've noticed something. I've never ever considered aging as something positive. That's so cool. I have never
Well,
seen that.
what if it's neither positive or negative?
What if it just is?
That's right. See, positive and negative is in the realm of change. With transformation, it's about what is in the current moment. And in this current moment, you are the age you are, and worrying about it really doesn't change anything. Complaining about it doesn't change anything. Even thinking about it doesn't change anything. You're just the age you are. This is what is. Not good, not bad.
However, if you have an internalized idea that at age 50 this happens, at 65 this happens, at the zero, it's usually, I hear you call 50, 60, 70 the round birthdays in Germany. So when you hit the ones with the zero on the end and it's a round, it means something. Then if suddenly you don't have a lot of energy, you may not look to see what you can do to impact that. You might just say, oh, that comes along with
the aging process. But I regularly take supplements to supplement my testosterone, my thyroid, and other things to keep me as energetic as I am. Now, I may not be as energetic as I was 30 years ago, but
thank God, I don't think I could keep up with him.
Yeah.
I still function very well, and I have no complaints about age.
Okay, second principle. In this moment, I'm just snapping my fingers. We can only be
exactly as we are in this moment.
And it's not comparative. That's changed. This moment compared to how I did last week or how I'm going to do next week, think that my life will begin when, or my life is over because back then this happened. That's all change. In this moment, it's like a snapshot of how you're being right now, not in comparison to the past or the future. Third principle, anything you see without judging completes itself in an instant. So that concept.
You don't have to work on this. You just have to notice how you're being. And if you notice it without judging what you notice, those beliefs about age lose their power over your out of who you are. Otherwise, you're doomed. You're doomed to the thoughts of previous generations that have been passed on to you. And people didn't normally reach the age of 50 in previous generations because there wasn't the nutrition and the medication that there is today.
Mm.
Lily, did your kids, when you were little, did they ever say like curse words or things they overheard you say and you're kind of like, oh my God, I can't believe they're repeating that?
Yes.
Well, you can just figure that what just came out of your daughter's mouth was something that she overheard, absorbed. It's more like, oh my God, how is that? Look what I've created.
Yeah.
And if you have a sense of humor about it, it will dissolve, not only for you, but for her.
The other thing is this, many years ago, I was taking a workshop as a participant, and I had this realization, and it still rings true to me, that if I am fully engaged in my life in this moment, not only am I ageless, but I won't die until I do. But I won't be thinking about it along the way. See, you think about the things you don't want or don't like or resist. They repeat, and then you become what you resist.
Yes.
Rather than just engaging in your life like this moment is your idea. Like there's nothing to attain or achieve. You've already achieved it by being alive. Being alive is such a gift. I mean, in reality, as far as we know, this is the only planet in the universe that has life, cognitive life forms. That you are alive is a miracle. But if you're trying to get somewhere and you think you're behind, well, then life is a drag,
Yeah. I see that.
Well, you can enjoy each moment of your life rather than resist where it's going. Because it's going where it's going, and nothing we can do can stop it from going that way, you see.
Yep.
One last thing, Uli.
It's called riding the horse in the direction it's going.
Instead of sitting around backwards.
Mhm.
You recently wrote an email to us about somebody who helps with cleaning your house and their perspective on you and how lovely it is the way you and your husband relate. And it's interesting when you're just living your life, all of that is largely uncommented on about you by you. I have a feeling that you are ageless a lot of the time, but because you're here, you miss it. And that's not a problem. You were just living your life rather than commenting on how you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Thanks for being with us today. Really a treat.
Really.
Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alrighty then. Drum roll, please. You sound like our cat. It's time for our listener feedback spotlight while Shai is here purring with me. We get to hear from one of our listeners
about how transformation has impacted their lives. And if you'd like to learn more or register for any of our upcoming courses, visit transformationmadeeasy.com.
Yeah.
And when I say easy, it's like the fire swamp.
Yeah, join us.
If you know your way through it, it's easy. If you have a good guide, it's easy. If you don't, well, there's rodents of unusual size. There's lightning sand.
all those
thing?
I don't remember.
Oh, and the fire spurts. Right.
There you go.
There you go.
We're great
Transformation made easy.com.
Hi, this is Arne in Cologne, Germany. And what I love about the seminars from the Canes is that I have a passion for other people and for myself, and that I see that I love people and human beings, and I'm loving myself after that more and more.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
If you'd like to join us for one of our virtual seminars, the next Living Made Easy event is this Saturday. There's another one on Monday evening. And then we have weekend seminars coming up the following weekend.
The Simplicity
It's
at
really
September 25th and 26th.
the simplicity of being here and how profound that experience is. While we're at it, we just want to have a shout out to our friend in New York, Diane. We know that you listen to the podcast regularly, and we just wanted to say
Hi.
and thank you for listening. And for all those of you out there who we're not naming personally today, thank you for listening as well.
Yes. The other thing is Costa Rica 2022 is now open for registration.
And filling, and you're welcome to join us. Just go up to transformationmadeeasy.com and you can see how to register for any of the courses that we have upcoming.
Yeah, just click on seminars.
We'd love to be with you. All right, let's take our next guest. Marin, welcome to being here. And where are you zooming in from?
Hi, thank you. I'm zooming in from Loma, which is also close to Cologne in Germany.
Nice. Welcome.
Thank you very much. As for ageless or age, I've recently been to the, pediatrician with my 7-year-old
Yes.
for a normal checkup. And the very friendly doctor just noticed that my son has the height and the weight which would be 3 years older. He's 7 and he's like a 10-year-old. And he very kindly asked, is it a problem for him? And I think so. For boys, it's usually good to be tall. And then he just said like, well, there's always the danger that people overestimate him when they judge his age by the looks. So, and I've been noticing that ever since when interacting with my son, there's been all this thinking as in, can I expect this of him? Am I asking too much? Etc. And with all the thinking, I've hardly been seeing him. There's like a filter, like a blind.
Well, that's great that you're noticing that,
Because if you notice it, but don't make yourself wrong for that having started this whole, it's almost, I don't know if you have these in Germany. They're like pinwheels. There are things that you could blow on and they spin and spin.
Yeah.
It's like your
pediatrician blew on the pinwheel, it's spinning, and you're looking at that, keeps it spinning. But the reality is your son's going to be great. I mean,
yes,
look,
he's a mom.
I was small for my age when I was his age. I turned out okay.
And also, if you take a look at, I know that the pediatrician is giving you full range of information so that you can do your best to take care of your son.
Mm-hmm.
But there are lots of tall kids in Germany.
Germany is a country with a lot of tall people.
Our friends, Maiken and her husband, who has a stepson, Bjarne, Maiken's son Bjarne, he was huge by the time he was 7. He was.
Now he's about 6'6". He's a very big fellow. His mother was large. His father was large. He's big.
And he enjoyed being overestimated. When you were a kid, didn't you wish people took you as older?
Yeah.
Now you probably wish people would take you as younger because we have so many funny ideas about age.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned Maiken's son, Bjarne, who I've met. He's a lovely guy. My son's called Bjarne as well. And if he grows as tall and if he's as happy as Maiken's Bjarne, then that's great.
Yes, he probably will. Look, I have very little doubt that he will be fine, given that he has you as a mother.
Thank you.
Because you're an amazing person. So there.
Give me a minute, a second to take it in. Thank
Give me a
you.
second to process that while my
Oh,
mind
yeah.
is screaming, no, no, no.
But
Yeah.
really you are.
You know, the other thing that's fun, we've known you for a while, Mary, and I don't know how long we've known you for, but you look so much younger now.
Than you did when we first met.
Oh, wow.
And look, if you're well in yourself, your son will do just fine. And you're well in yourself when you're living your life and experiencing your life rather than spending time thinking about how you're doing.
Mm.
We recently went to the Bahamas, Ariel and I, not too long ago, and we went fishing for a fish called bonefish. And whilst there, these very large barracuda showed up. And so I went fishing for them.
You know, like 1.5 meters in length.
Right.
It's a big fish.
And everything happens so quickly when you fish for a fish like this. You have no time to think, because if you think, the fish breaks off.
Yeah.
And you have to be there for what's happening and watch it unfold. You have to get the line to go onto the reel at the right rate in order to not have it break, not have it catch around something. Because with fly fishing, there's a lot of line all over the place. If you're there, really, it looks easy.
Mm.
But you can't be thinking, you got to be there.
I'll tell you one of the things
And if you're there in your life, rather than thinking about
Sorry, I
doing it
didn't
right,
realize you were-
you know, well,
Yeah.
so that's okay. Rather than about doing it right, your son's going to turn out great.
But I'd like to move away from her son because I think her son is a shield right now
Mhm.
between her and looking at her attitude toward aging and how she approaches her life. Her kid's a really good thing to put in front of her. So
I like that
she
idea.
doesn't have to look at her.
Yes.
And Bjorn is like the shiny object that
Right.
we're staring at right now. Because we had several interactions with you throughout the pandemic. And I noticed that there were probably times where you felt older than you are right now today, when you were complaining about the circumstances.
Mm.
Complaining about one's circumstances doesn't do anything but give us instantaneous age. And in there is comparison. How am I doing to the people around me? And the tension is all on ourselves, how we're doing, the story of our lives, as opposed to looking to see how we can make a difference, what we can do, or even if it's just being in our hands when we pick up a dish, or noticing, I could use to vacuum the floor. Like there's a quality of engagement that doesn't happen when you're talking to yourself in a complaint manner.
The second principle of instantaneous transformation falls in place here. No two things can occupy the same marin at the same time. So if you're busy worrying about how you are doing it, then you're not available to see what's needed and wanted by your universe. It's really quite that simple. You know, with this Zoom video stuff, initially, I noticed that I was looking at how I looked. So I imagine that's true for you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so your attention is not only on what's happening in a seminar, it's how do I look? How am I presenting myself? What will people think of me? Well, what if you lived your life for you rather than worrying about what people think?
That resonates. Thank you. Yeah. what Ariel said is quite true. I've been recently diagnosed with severe arthrosis in the cervicals of the neck, and I have arthrosis in the thumbs of my hand, which I've learned to get to grips with the pain. But this was bad news that sort of accumulated, and I have been thinking I'm feeling old, and yeah.
How old are you?
I'm 47.
Oh, that's not bad. That's very young. I'm almost twice your age.
Yeah.
Ariel's got 20 years on you. Well, not quite. 15 years on you.
Yeah, more something in that. I'm 63, so whatever that is, I can't add right now. But yes, I love that. I'll tell you what I love about it. And I'm sorry that you have you call it arthrosis. Is that the same as arthritis?
It's not quite the same thing. It's just, I guess what it has in common is the pain. I'm not a
Okay.
medical expert.
That you're talking about this condition happening at 47, because it's like, wait a minute, that's something that should happen in my 70s or 80s. And it's the fodder or the fuel for feeling sorry for yourself.
Which you are very used to doing. It's been a lifestyle for you to feel sorry for yourself.
It reminds me of.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that, but I can see it. It's we act out our internal conversation on our face.
Yeah.
So when you feel sorry for yourself, you want people to know that you're hurting and they should feel sorry for you too.
And I guarantee you the pain is not constant. I know for myself, I have different
areas of
pain.
And
it's not always present. It is certainly always present when I'm concentrating on it. And it's
Absolutely.
really present if I'm complaining about it.
There's this disorder called tinnitus.
Or tinnitus.
Or tinnitus. It's a ringing in your ears. Now, I have that only when I remember that I have that. Otherwise, they're pretty quiet. But now that I'm talking about it, they're ringing. See, it's that way with your arthritis.
Or arthrosis. I don't know what that is. So, but I'm assuming it's pain having to do with a degenerative.
Calcification or degeneration of the discs in your neck.
And you can use pain, for instance, as something to be blue about, feel depressed about, or sorry for yourself about, or you can use it as an excuse to find out what else is possible. So, and many years ago, Shia, every time he turned his head, it would go. They call it crepitus, where everything would click.
Cracked,
and it was pretty advanced. And then it added pain. And
we're talking when I was your age.
Yes. And so then the question was, do we live like this?
Or do we find something that can help us?
So we started researching.
And we found a doctor who did a lot of work with heavy metals. And
as he detoxed from the heavy metals, that went away.
That's
and
right.
When I hit 50, in a very, very short time frame, or almost 50, probably when I was 49, my orgasms totally stopped having feeling. And I thought, that is really unfair. I'm finally good at this thing. I enjoy sex, but I'm having very little feeling with it. And then we investigated that, and we discovered that I was missing all three major hormones: testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. And when that got balanced, the sensation came back. So I have made many choices over my life where when something has apparently aged out of me, I've looked at options to see, what is possible. I've used it as an excuse to take care of my well-being. And right now, as Shia was, I think you mentioned it earlier, Shia and I got bicycles that we've been riding, not to fix something, but in recognition that if we keep moving in advance of things degrading,
They won't degrade as fast.
Degrade as fast, and we can have a lifestyle that includes mobility and strength and, you know, heart health and muscle stuff. And we're doing things that are fun rather than things to fix a broken
We don't go to
person.
the gymnasium and work out to try to make ourselves stronger.
But
We live our lives.
And some people do. They love the gym. We had a client today who was on his way to the gym, and you could tell he was very happy about that. He loves the gym. It's not really our style, so we do other things. And Shia's butt's getting cuter again.
Oh,
Just gotta
thank
say.
you. Thank you. That's
Great.
a good thing to know.
It is. I
We-
like, because I
we
like
might
watching him.
We might get lucky.
You never know.
You never know.
It's been funny actually to notice that what I heard from therapists and doctors was, oh, you're too young to have it at such an advanced stage. And I just saw that this actually reflects my own thinking. That's what I hear.
But yes, but that's the thing. You listen to, so here's the problem. You've got a dramatic flair in you. You go to the dramatic. You know what I'm talking about? So you hear the sound of, and it's a herd of zebras.
It's not
Heard of
horse.
zebras?
With you,
Oh,
it's a herd
zebras.
of
Oh, okay.
zebras rather than a herd of horses. You go to the
Okay.
exotic. Your
Okay.
mind goes to the dramatic possibilities rather than just notice things.
Mm.
People are different. You know,
And-
Stephen Hawkins was too young to be debilitated, period. It's not like, you know, the idea that an age keeps you from having a something is a very interesting thing.
Mm.
And you know, we were recently, as I said earlier, in the Bahamas, and there was another young couple that was there at the fishing lodge with us, and
the fellow was 29 years old.
and his wife was 32, I believe,
Mhm.
and they held themselves apart from us because we were too old to be friendly with.
Okay.
See, people sort by age,
Yeah. Mm.
and you've sorted by age.
He was actually embarrassed that his wife was 3 years older than him.
Oh.
That's right.
You know, and because we've been enculturated with ideas. But when you see them, if you see you've got that idea, any idea around age, and you don't judge yourself for having it, it loses its power over you.
And all the ideas you have been put into you
Mm.
by the culture you grew up in.
And
So in the German culture, aging is not a good thing.
No.
And so you can either be part of that German culture or you can be a human being,
Mm.
discovering your life moment by moment rather than having it dictated by what came before.
Yeah.
I also want to back out of age for a minute, Marin, and I'll tell you why. Because if you're habituated to complaining, then it's like you've got a basket here and it's like, oh, it's raining today. Oh, things were closed up to COVID. Oh, I can't get my vaccine yet. Oh, I got my vaccine, but people are now getting breakthrough infections. Oh, you know, everything.
You will find the things that you can complain about. And by the way, you will ignore everything that's working well.
Mm.
because it doesn't support that point of view that life sucks.
You know, I was recently reading a book by a physician here in the United States, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, and he's talking about brain health, primarily because some of his family members had dementia, and he is a brain surgeon, amongst other things. And he was talking about how when you do autopsies of and look at the brain of people who have dementia, and then you look at the brain of people who have no signs of dementia, who've had, for instance, dementia in their families, their brains can look the same. But it has to do with how engaged the person is in the quality of their life, whether or not, for a lot of people, they develop the symptoms that go along with a degraded sense of themselves, including dementia. And I really think it would be fun for you, and I just have to tell you, at first you're going to complain about everything you see, to see how much you complain. And then you'll probably complain about your complaining, and then just don't. And then you'll judge yourself for all the complaining that you do, and just watch the whole mishigas, kind of like it's sponge sugar, like it's a cotton candy. And just watch it, and it'll dissolve just like cotton candy does in your mouth. It's just sponge sugar.
I like that image. Thanks. I like it. Thank you.
Yeah, we've been told, or I've been, when I look on Google to see how many thoughts we have in a day, it says between 40 and 60,000. It also says that 95 to 98% of those thoughts you had the day before and the day before that. It also says that 80% of your thoughts are negative. So you keep recycling old negative thoughts. I suggest you look out at life and discover what's there that you don't think, but you see.
As we're talking earlier, you talked about this arthrosis and the pain associated with it. And there was a lot of weight in the word pain. And back in 1984, 1985, when Shia was doing Shia work, and by the way, we didn't announce it here, but the November course is Being the Healer in You. We're just not sure if it's going to be virtual or in person, which is why we haven't announced it. It's the 4th and 5th of November. By the time this airs, I'm certain we will know, but we don't know at the time of the recording. Back when we lived on Park Avenue, there was a very prominent orthopedic surgeon who lived in our building, and we became friendly with him, and we would sit and talk about pain, because at that point Shia was doing Shia work and getting people out of pain. And he was talking about how you could look at the x-rays of people who had advanced arthritis, and the x-rays would look the same, and one person would have pain and the other person would have none. So that you have this condition
Does not necessitate
pain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's not that it's a failure if you have pain, but if you have the expectation you have to have it, you will produce it.
And the more you complain about it, the stronger it will affect your life, because what you resist persists, first principle, and grows stronger.
True. Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Really a treat chatting with you
Yeah.
today.
Have fun.
Well, if you enjoyed this podcast, you can leave a review on your favorite podcast app. Helps other people find Being Here. And if you feel to do it, hey, thanks in advance. Next week's episode.
There are no stupid questions.
What? So We'll be back next week,
So come on back,
and don't miss
being here.